Last time on World of Warcraft, I managed to successfully obtain the Insane title before Blizzard stole my human supremacist buff and nerfed us into the ground. After a mind-shattering last 2 weeks of Dragonflight, I found myself in the Caverns of Time, and oh hey, it's the 20th anniversary! Yeah, World of Warcraft turned 20 years old during this event, and guess what? The Warcraft franchise itself became 30.
Welcome to the World of Warcraft.
I had to take a moment to try and process this, but this was really hard with my chat being spammed with 1,000 different titles every time I logged in. Okay, but actually, I kept myself purposely ignorant on this event because I wanted to experience it firsthand, and so the only things I knew going into the event were a $100 Brutosaur mount and the T2 armor sets. In my first actual exploration of the event, I discovered Blizzard added the single greatest title to World of Warcraft, and it made me feel ashamed of all the time I spent on the Insane title when I could have just bought the Shadowlands Enthusiast title for a few hundred Time Warp badges and have the same practical effect. Anyways, I took it upon myself to explore every part of the festival and the events happening. I killed a few world bosses, did an achievement or two, but when I saw the first yell happen,
Mount Mania coming up next!
I quickly went over to Mount Mania and found myself surrounded by 1,000 different players. Then the next event came, and then the next, and I thought to myself, why don't I go for a perfectionist run of the event? I mean, if I don't, I'm gonna visit the event only for the weeklies and ignore it pretty much any other time. So I decided that this would be the 20th anniversary spectacular. Alright, I know someone's going to be asking the question, what actually is a 20th anniversary spectacular anyway? It is a challenge to perfect all three main events at the 20th anniversary: Fashion Frenzy, Mount Mania, and Storytime. So where do I actually start? My options were pretty limited to either focusing on Fashion Frenzy or Mount Mania first. Storytime only has 3 stories, so it should go by really fast. However, knowing my immaculate record in trial style, I decided to hit Fashion Frenzy first. But what the hell actually is Fashion Frenzy? It's the game where you show off your insane fashion skills and become the superstar model the world knows you are. But because I need to make content for videos, I decided I would become a Fashion Frenzy star and win it 12 times. Why 12? Don't question the number. It's just a number we need to become a true star. Seriously, don't you ever fucking question my math again. The first game of Fashion Frenzy started off with a nice simple theme: humble beginnings. The first thought that came to my small nut-sized brain was to recreate something similar to that one South Park episode. So I got to work, and now look at this beautiful masterpiece. It just screams 2004 Warrior Main. I am already a trial style star, so there's no way that this beautiful outfit was going to fail. Well, as luck might have it, Blizzard decided to make me fail themselves. No matter how hard I hit it, no matter how fast I hit it, my apply button would not work. I scrambled and tried to reload my UI. I ran away and ran back, but you see, Blizzard was almost sneaky enough to outwit me. You see, the problem was that I had the same white sword being transmogged on both of my weapons. After changing it, I was able to get back in there, but it was far too late. Everyone had already casted their votes, time had run out, and I was not on that stage. A couple hours later, I went back to Fashion Frenzy and we had a brand new theme: Cataclysmic Costume. Before the timer was out, I hit all the works to create another masterpiece. I got myself up front and center and saw the votes were going to the Blood Elves and Slutmog. What? I could not let this stand. I pulled out my secret weapon, Blazing Wings, and prayed for more votes. But there I was, with 12 votes and praying that I had enough to get up top, and suddenly, I won! Wow, that was pretty easy. The next day, it was time for my second win, and when I arrived at the stage, Blizzard stopped me in my tracks once more. Fashion Frenzy was broken. That's right, Blizzard's world-renowned quality assurance team's incredible hard work they put into making sure that Fashion Frenzy worked had failed. The event was completely broken and stuck on the theme of Pandarn Panache. What does that word even mean? You might be thinking to yourself, didn't Blizzard just release a $90 mount? Yes, they sure did, and you can tell that money is going to be spent towards the game's quality and ensuring that there are no bugs towards a very glorious and monumental event like the 20th anniversary. I'm certain the money that our new Microsoft overlords are getting will be put to good use. Oh my god, I had to say the M word once and he had to show up. I'm sorry guys, I guess we're gonna be stuck with him for the rest of the anniversary event. Since Fashion Frenzy broke, I decided to split my time up between Mount Mania and Storytime. But Mount Mania? It's going to be a much longer grind than either you or I will anticipate. So let's hit Storytime. Alright, I know what you guys are thinking. This game is 20 years old. I know there's too many books for the player base and too many short attention spans to read any of them. However, to help people out, the 20th anniversary has a lore stage. Yeah, we can learn about our favorite epic characters like the Lich King, Illidan Stormrage, Sylvanas. Nope. Oh, you thought you were going to learn about a real character at Storytime? No. We got 3 stories from 2 side characters and a retelling of a lore event. event. The first character story I saw was Bane Bloodhoof. Yes, the same character known for sitting down on Orbos for the entirety of Shadowlands. This is probably the most boring thing Blizzard adds to the game, and I literally sat here and contemplated if I should even add this to the video. The second character is the Sarian from my personal favorite WoW novel, Death Knight. It's not even a book, it's actually a manga. WoW has a manga? Yeah, multiple series, but that's not the point. Less than 50 feet from the stage, the Sarian is grumpy. Maybe you should have said hi to your sister and they would have made a play about you. You know that one event everyone remembers from a dozen different content creators? Yeah, that one. They made a dramatic play about the opening of Encourage. And wait, what is that? St. Larry Trolls? No mages wearing plate. Troll Druids! Guys, I'm not trying to be a lore master here, but World of Warcraft Classic was 5 years ago. I can literally watch other people's streams and see what NPCs were there. I can log on to Season Discovery and see them right now. By the way, with how often the Thessarian and Bane story happened, I wasn't convinced that there was a third story until I accidentally stumbled upon it. And even then, it took me like a week for the Karaji War story to pop up again, because in the middle of my first viewing, I had a guildie botch the footage by complaining about another guildie. I won't lie, this was kind of a repeating problem. I'd go sit down in the event and suddenly, boom, another person complaining about something else. I don't know what horrible thing I did to deserve my footage getting botched every single story time, but god damn it, I'm sorry. Now finally, Mount Mania, which happens at the 45-minute mark every hour. It is perhaps the most interactive and community-enriching event in the 20th anniversary. Blizzard realized that Asmongold may have been onto something with his mount-offs 10 years ago, and chose to make them a reality in the game. This event is easy peasy. You just go to it, wait for Abigail to mount up, match the mount, get a point. Mount Mania is an interesting game because it can genuinely be almost any mount that is not faction locked. Sometimes you end up with a dragon riding mount. Maybe you'll see a rare final boss mount like the Hellfire Infernal. Other times, Abigail chooses to play unfair and mounts up on a swift spectral tiger. I can't complain about it though, because more often than not, I'm the one who wins this event. Oh, how do you win? You see this little buff right here? Whoever has the most stacks of this buff gets called out as the winner and gets a little star effect on their character. However, since I can't become the fashion frenzy star that I deserve to be, I'll settle for being a Mount Mania perfectionist. 15 full stacks, just one perfect victory. This shouldn't take too long. Alright, game one. What do we got here? Okay, a little Swifty. Not a big deal. That's a big love rocket. That's a Gladiator mount. Oh, that's a Black Karaji battle tank. Oh. I made a grave mistake. Mount Mania is a game based upon luck. It's pure RNG. Either you have the mount, or you don't. Do you know what kills most runs? It's not even the unobtainable mounts. It's the ones that just take some time to get. Flameward Hippogriff, 29 days. Zenit Hatchling, full week. Trading post mounts that have come and left. There are mounts that show up that have not been available since 2005, like that damn Black Karaji battle tank you saw earlier. I'm not gonna spend $7,000 fucking dollars on a Black Karaji battle tank, which I don't even know if you can acquire those through $7,000. I don't know how much they cost. I'm not gonna check the real money trading sites, but I'm not someone who has serious FOMO. But this event, it taunts you. How many games do you think has ended because of a level 250 PvP mount? Or a Mythic Plus mount from 2 expansions ago? How about a challenge mode mount from over a decade ago? That's how I learned my lesson. Mount Mania has a bunch of different, sick, twisted ways into making you remember what you should have done already. The Flame Talon of Ali's Razor, Swift Zolian Panthers, Deep Star Auralids, it all made sense. This was not just an open contest for fun. It was a challenge, a test if you will, designed to question your mastery of this game. Of course, someone is always going to get 12 out of 15, maybe even 13 out of 15, but only one person in 1,000 different crowds is going to hit 15 out of 15. I realized that and felt despair that maybe I won't be that person. I've been playing for this long, but maybe I didn't deserve this win. You haven't seen what I've seen. For you, the viewer, this has only been a few minutes of your life. But for me, a month has passed, and I have not seen a single victory in Mount Mania. I was getting fed up, I was getting angry, I was pissed, because this one event started to drain my mental fortitude in a way that the Insane couldn't. You know what? Fuck it. Getting the Insane 15 years later was not an accomplishment. Keystone Hero is something people do every season, and 2K? That isn't even impressive. As I sat there and contemplated my failures, I walked back into the Caverns of Time, just looking for an answer to everything. I already wasted a month working on Mount Mania, just punching at the competition, just to be sniped by a few mounts every single game. And as I sat there in despair, I realized I was not alone. I have played this game since 2005. I learned to read English playing this game. I have seen every expansion and done every raid. I was not alone, for there just wasn't one character I could play. There wasn't just one Swagstar. There were countless, and with this anniversary event, I could make even more. I pulled forward every character I've made from every expansion, all my alts, all the characters that I've raided with across a myriad of different guilds. For every character I have, that was another daily lockout. For every character, it was another chance at a boss. For every boss kill, I was no longer confined to just 1 kill a week, but now 20. I made a spreadsheet of nearly 50 mounts that cost me Mount Mania and then some. I categorized everything into easy, medium, hard, and impossible mounts to get. Maybe I couldn't pick up a Swift Spectral Tiger, but I could grind out the rest of this sheet. Some of these mounts were just gross negligence that I didn't get, like the Heartbond Lupine or the Temperamental Skyclaw. So, I got to work. I started out with the Argent Tournament and Molten Offensive on Swagstar, while I moved my alt to Zul'Gurub for the Swift Zulian Panther. After focusing through my dailies, I hit Zerath Mortis on my Death Knight and began to farm out the Heartbond Lupine. Maybe I wouldn't get the Swift Zulian Panther during the first few days, but with enough determination, I'd get that damn Panther. And so, my friends, here lies the true pain and discovery of the 20th Anniversary Spectacular. Welcome to Mount Mania Truly. If I was going to grind out every mount on this list, I needed to figure out which mounts took priority in this grind. Yeah, I could farm them from easiest to hardest, but I wanted to take a different approach. I needed the mounts that kept showing up, and the only way to figure that out was to review all my footage so far. Yes, I am missing Invincible, but that rarely shows up in comparison to the Corrupted Dreadwing or Sharkbait. After reviewing nearly 100 videos, I eventually figured out that the major losses were coming from Firelands, Antorus, Shadowlands, and Dragonflight. With my destinations known, I hit the road and started to focus down these mounts. Firelands takes around 15 full minutes to finish a run, considering you have to kill every boss to reach Ragnaros. Our first boss is always Ali's Razor, who never drops her mount. Through this event, I painfully killed her probably over 400 times between every character, since she is a Cataclysm boss and I can bring level 40s in here to one-shot her. I made sure to do every week's time walking event and hit the raids to ensure maximum chances for mounts. This didn't pay off in Firelands, but it did get me Experiment 32B. Speaking of Firelands though, it takes around 15 full minutes to kill every boss and run around to do all the roleplay. But what if I told you there was a shortcut to this place? Take a moment, sit down in that chair of yours. If you're a smart man, you'd realize that Ali's Razor gives you the ability to fly during her fight. What if you just started flying and just skipped directly to Ragnaros? You'd be there in 3 minutes and you can fight just Ali Razor and Rag instead of everyone else. It took me a painfully long time to realize this, but eventually Ragnaros would be conquered. But Ali's Razor still remains. This is going to be a bit of a trend in this video, so prepare to cry a little bit. Just a spoonful, honestly. Antorus is a similar story, but I don't actually have the shortcut to Mythic Argus, but I do have 2 weeks of credit so far towards that shortcut. So I have to unlock it by going through the full Antorus raid for 2 full weeks on my Death Knight. So why didn't I just run the entire funhouse of Antorus on every character? ENR. Mythic ENR. This fight, despite supposedly being made easier, is made in a way that you can still get wiped and die very easily. ENR is essentially a tower defense boss fight, except enemies come from 4 different locations. You have to memorize all the spawn points and what waves they come in, and be fast enough to reach them before anything bad happens. Playing on Holy Death Knight was great for this because I could just leave a Death and Decay down, throw an Outbreak up on the gargoyles. That's great. But what isn't great is having to play the "oh no, my laser's gonna one-shot ENR" game with the ship. You have around 30 seconds to get inside of the ship, kill the guy, get all 4 quadrants of the ship unlocked, then jump back down. 30 seconds seems long, but only takes that amount of time for a single wave to get to ENR and one-shot you. Okay, so I do this for 2 weeks, and we get to Mythic Argus and deal with him. But here's a little fun fact for you. If you unlock a skip, it's now account-wide. But this wouldn't be useful information for me, because I forgot I could fucking skip to Mythic Iminar for those 2 weeks. Then, when I finally killed Mythic Argus, the mount dropped instantly. So the entirety of the shortcut has no real purpose else now besides transmog. Did I mention that there's a second mount in this place? It's the Charhounds, but just like Ali's Razor, they refuse to give me their mount. Oh, you want true pain? Well, let me tell you another secret. You can kill Charhounds 4 times a week on a single character, between LFR, normal, heroic, and mythic. I killed them 4 times a week on 20-something characters for about 3 months. Let's do the math real quick. If you have a calculator, you can pull it out for this part. If you read that I killed this boss 80 times a week for 12 weeks, you'd get 960 kills in 3 months. What are the odds of that happening? Well, according to Wowhead Comments, which is a dubious source at best when it comes to mount drop rates, this mount has an alleged 5% drop rate, which means that in 960 kills across 20 characters, I should have a theoretical 100% probability of getting this mount to drop. But there is a bit more math that I could not figure out. So I reached out to some of the math nerds in my Discord to answer my questions, and while I was given a far more comprehensive answer there, I wanted to dumb down the details to a single statement. I have better chances of winning the lottery 5 times in a row than to not see this mount drop once. Also, the mount probably doesn't have a 5% drop rate like the comments say. I'd probably say it's probably 1%, maybe 0.1%. It's gonna be like most of the raid boss mounts, besides like the Abyss Worm in Tomb of Sargeras. Alright, let's move away from raids. I'm gonna become a Death Knight in real life if I keep talking about them. A quick visit to Dragonflight lets me pick up the Zenith Hatchling. I wait 7 days and let it hatch, followed immediately by another 7 days to wait on talking to a fucking alpaca in the desert. I'm buying items off the auction house to get a Skyclaw, and I gotta run dungeons for rings to buy an otter. In the middle of this, more things get added to my list. Great. I download Hearthstone, play a little bit of Battlegrounds, and get Sarge's Tale. Speaking of Battlegrounds, I started to run Wintergrass so that I can pick up the Conqueror's Scythe Maul, but I forgot about this halfway through the grind. If you don't have this mount, here's a really quick way to do it. Go queue up Wintergrass, go to War Mode and visit any of the Battle for Azeroth zones. Finish your Wintergrass and turn in the Wintergrass autocomplete quests in that zone. I only did a few of these before I forgot about the mount, so yeah. Battle for Azeroth surprisingly has a few mounts, but the only thing that really kept appearing was Sharkbait, which I unironically got on my first try. I think Swagalot might just be lucky in dungeons considering he's 2 for 2 right now. The Glacial Tidestorm would also show up sometimes, but I didn't see any luck with this mount dropping. Shadowlands has a good few mounts, but it wasn't that bad. I got Nightmare and Sundancer pretty fast. I realize I've also been talking serious and straight for the last few minutes, so let me hit you guys with a few joke mounts that I lost out on. I was sitting at 99 reps during this event, so I went out and bought tokens for both Zandalar tribe and the Winter Spring Frost Sabers. Of course, the Winter Spring Frost Saber wasn't going to be my reason for a loss, since it was faction oriented, but the 100 reps gave me the Pure Heart Courser, a mount which had shown up at some point in my grind. I forgot to mention it, the Warlords of Draenor had 3 mounts that I was missing: the Fell Corrupted Raven, Rukmar's Raven, and the Fell Steel Annihilator. While Rukmar and the Annihilator were up to pure chance, the Fell Corrupted Raven was actually feasible to farm and obtain. For about a week straight, I would hit Tainan Jungle, knock out all the dailies, hit bonus objectives, and kill all the Black Fang champions. I probably averaged around 10 to 12k Apexis a day doing all of this, but the real grind came down to repeat visits to both the Pit and Shatrath City for garrison dailies. These quests give you about 2,000 Apexis, so a return trip back to the garrison meant 4,000 Apexis crystals a day just from that, followed by the fact that I was buying the item to repeat the dailies multiple times every day. Despite my worries of the Raven taking too much time, it was actually kind of fun to see Draenor again, and it paid off almost instantly in Mount Mania. Then we gotta go back to Legion. I'm now picking up a Vile Fiend by killing a rare every day it's up while still grinding out Antorus. And you're never gonna believe it, but I'm never leaving Antorus. Ali's Razor too, but I'm not as worried about that because the Flame Talon doesn't show up nearly as often as the Charhound. And now here's the thing, you caught me discussing 20 mounts so far, but this is only the tip of the actual iceberg for me. I have hundreds of attempts on some of these mounts between these characters, and the mounts, they weren't dropping. And a bigger issue started to rise. I have been pushing really hard. I have been playing 20 different characters and moving them across the world for hours every day. I was starting to get burnt out from playing this. And if I burnt out, this would be the end of the event. Mount Mania Perfection would never happen. I needed a way to avoid burnout. I looked deeper and far into the mount list and was just searching for something to keep me from going insane again. All these daily based and time gated mounts were killing me and I needed an out. And there it was, just sitting in the middle of the list. This wasn't something that was going to win me Mount Mania, but there was a single impossible mount that could be farmed and obtained. No, I wasn't going to spend $5,000 on the Swift Spectral Tiger or have to wait until after the event and get the Big Love Rocket. It was something else. The Black Haraji Resonating Crystal, which is a reward for becoming Scarab Lord. And it just so happens that right now that the Karaji war effort is happening on Season of Discovery. So, to prevent burnout, I committed to it. I was going to become a Scarab Lord. Okay, let's take a step back for a second. Everyone knows what the Scarab Lord grind is. They've seen all the big creators get theirs back in COVID Classic. It is, without question, the longest quest line in World of Warcraft. But let me put you in my shoes during the Karaji War and COVID Classic. I was back in college and I was taking a break from the game because I was burnt from spending 3 hours a night on Blackwing Lair in a sort of casual guild. When I came back, I had 0 riz on my server, and so the chances of me getting a Scarab Lord were absolute 0. But on Season of Discovery, I was one of the people who helped get my guild back started and fully running. You saw in the last video where I picked up my Hand of Ragnaros, and that hand, it was kind of a beacon, a call for all of our old guildies from the past to come back. And so when we went to Blackwing Lair, we had everyone, and when the head of Broodlord Lashlayer dropped, I seized on the opportunity. However, I am not here to do a 10-year-long video split across multiple sections, so let's condense this into less than 3 full minutes. So I'm proud to announce Rise of the Scarab Lord. After you get the head of Broodlord Lashlayer and turn in all the Sildid fragments to be neutral with the Brooded Nozdormu, you get sent on an epic quest chain that requires you to rebuild the scepter, which is divided into 3 pieces, the red, blue, and green scepter shards. Okay, so red shard, go to Blackwing Lair, beat up Veilstraz and Nefarian, easy peasy. Green shard, go to Sunken Temple, which is now a raid, so you actually have to buy a lockout from someone. After you get your lockout and you go into the place, you gotta go to Darnassus to talk to a wisp. Cool. Now go to Moonglade, where you're instructed to go to each of the 4 Twilight portals across Azeroth and kill dragons until they drop shards. Sick, cool, I did it. Afterwards, go manage to finagle a 40-man raid group in Season Discovery to go kill Ranicus and Moonglade. This was a bitch and a half to do between the 5 different groups trying to do this at once. The event would never stop, so all of Moonglade's defenders were killed and destroyed. An hour into it, we merged into another 40-man raid group and killed a Ranicus for his Scepter Shard. Alright, Blue Shard, here's the really fun part. Go find Azure Ghost Spirit in Ajara. Sick. Go to Tanarus and talk to someone who can read a book. The story splits off into 4 full different directions now. Go to the Greymane Wall and talk to this dumbass in a box who lost his goggles and Molten Core. Go to said Molten Core, don't get it after a full clear, then go pick it up next week and bring it back. Next, head to the Isle of Dread that is overfilled beyond belief. You still have to kill the king of the island, but before that you gotta take a quick trip to the auction house and buy out every Chimrock job. Cool, now I'm the world's greatest chef. Next, Draconic for Dummies. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, this was awful. Get a book from Dr. Weevil on Outcast Island, Demons in the Blasted Lands, and Winterspring, Undercity, Stormwind Library, Onyxia, Blackwing Lair, and Ragnaros. Yes, we had to do Molten Core again. Are you tired yet? Are you bored? Well, we aren't done yet, because I forgot to mention all the steps leading up to us getting the damn book. Let's rewind a second. For us to get the quest to find Draconic for Dummies, we gotta get Narain laid and have sex with the fish people. But why does he need to get laid? If he has sex with his sea maiden, she'll give me a buff to get to an island. Once I get to said island, I gotta find a pile of dirt in the sand that tells you, oh my god, this story isn't over yet. Go get another group of friends, head to Winterspring to kill a giant ape, but the ape isn't the only problem. You have the Horde, who are going to make your life a living hell. You can say goodbye to your friends as they get mind controlled off cliffs, but a simple message between the factions makes peace in our time. Yes, my friends still want to commit violence in the never-ending race war, but I am a stronger man. Oh, where was I? The Horde helped you kill the ape. You find out that the ape and all the work you've done so far was only so you could go get all 8 volumes of Draconic for Dummies, which we already covered. Hey, now guess what? You get to sink another 1,000 gold for Arcanite, Diamond, Sapphire, and Elementium ore. Now that we're done with all the steps of the Blue Scepter Shard, we have to go to Ajara, play a quick game of This Is My Purse with the big funny shark, murder it, and take the Blue Shard home for Christmas. Alright, we now have all 3 shards. We gotta run back to Anachronos, get the Scepter of the Shifting Sands, log out of the Scarab Gong for the big day, then lose the footage of you ringing the gong because your power went out and the MP4 file got corrupted. Really, it's all in a day's work. Hey, 246! That's not half bad. Anyways, now that I knocked us off the list, we should probably check in on how things are going at Mount Mania. When we got back to Mount Mania, I felt refreshed, cleaned. I pushed myself back into the grind. I was knocking out objectives left and right. Argent Tournament, Molten Front. I got both Hippogriffs in quick succession. I went out of my way to pick up a few Dragonflight and War Within mounts that I was missing as well. First mount I picked up was the Seething Swarmite, which is just from getting all the War Within zones skywriting glyphs. My next visit to the Dragon Isles, I made a stop at Magma Shell and grabbed him. Then I went down under to Zarelek and got the Seething Slug. While things were starting to look hopeful, there was something I started to realize. There is a bit of a secret about Mount Mania that no one has mentioned yet. Each week has a rotation of possible mounts. While some mounts stick around from week to week, others might disappear after a single week. My farming methods were actively being combated. I had to hope that the previous week's mounts were still in rotation and stuck around. There's a good few mounts that I picked up that never showed up in the weekly rotation after I got them. Sundancer and Sergeant's Tales were mounts that showed up a lot during the first month of the anniversary, but ultimately disappeared outside of popping up once or twice later. However, what I did not foresee was that the newer mounts in rotation would just stick around longer than other mounts. There's a few different mounts that I farmed my heart out for that just never dropped. The Winter Night Dreamsaber presumably has a 1% drop chance from the Dream Seed caches and the Emerald Dream, and after a few hundred seeds wasted, this mount didn't show up for me. I tried to spend my time on other mounts that were new in rotation, like the Dauntless Imperial Lynx, and even then, that's a 0.6% chance for it to come from any of the Lamplighter Satchel dailies. And I know, we were getting boggled back into the statistics of something dropping. This isn't a fun conversation for me either, and I know you are certainly not watching this video for statistical chances and analysis. There's a bottom line to this, that even if I didn't do the Scarab Lord grind, I was getting outpaced by the amount of new mounts being added to the rotation that I did not have. And you gotta understand, it's not like these are incredibly rare mounts either. At the time of finishing this video, I had over 600 mounts. And as much as I want to keep the funny jokes going and discussing each of the mounts I grinded out so far, I have to start taking this seriously, because I realized I was running out of time. The mounts that kept reappearing just weren't dropping. I know we can joke about being an Antorus for as long as possible, but I needed more mounts and I needed them fast. Day by day, it started to tick closer to January 6th, the end of the event. I was getting desperate. I started to hit grinds that I was not planning on doing, like the Soaring Meterbee farm, or starting on the Seas Bark grind. I went after rare mounts like the Cartel Mattress Gear Glider that were late additions to the Mount Mania roster. There were times earlier in the grind that I should have started farming for some of the reputation mounts in the War Within, but I didn't, and that came back to bite me. The last 3 weeks of Mount Mania were Aquamarine Swarmites, Dauntless Imperial Lynxes, and Catalog Shale Wings that kept me from finishing the event. I was winning matches left and right, but I was never perfect. At the end of this, I think I had only a dozen 14 out of 15 games, the most devastating of which was to a depleted Kyperium Rocket, the only profession mount that I did not have. And on January 6th, at midnight, I did my final Mount Mania, only to lose it on the 6th mount. To say that I was disappointed and hurt was an understatement. I've been farming this for 3 months. Every time I killed a Charhound and didn't see a mount, every time I killed Allie's Razor just to get jebaited by her dagger, every time I saw a trading post mount that I missed, I just felt disappointed. As I said earlier, Mount Mania has this sick and twisted way of making you feel like you should have been doing the work already. And it hurt. But after years of playing this game, I came to a revelation that my failure to beat Mount Mania and not complete a single goal in this 20th anniversary spectacular, it didn't actually hurt me. When I looked back on it, I was editing this video for a while, yes, but it took me months to make this video because I kept rewriting, redeveloping, and re-editing the story and footage to make a happy ending to this video. And eventually I realized that there just wasn't going to be a happy ending. But that's alright. It made me sit back and think of all the time I spent on WoW, all the years of role-playing, all the years of raiding, all the people and friends I met along the way. These last 5 months, these hundreds of games of Mount Mania, the grinding in every form of WoW, gave me an insight to my relationship with this game. Yeah, I failed. I didn't get what I wanted. So what? For the first time in years, I felt myself in love with this game. I found these countless hours of work not as an abusive chore, but something I started to enjoy. You can call it Stockholm Syndrome if you want, but the real takeaway of the 20th Anniversary Spectacular was not the event itself. It was completing goals that I set over a decade ago. I remember being 9 years old standing at the Argent tournament, having just race changed from a Draenei to a human. I told myself that this was going to be it. I'd do the Argent tournament to a completion, I would be a Crusader, I'd have my Hippogriff one day. And after all these years, I finally did it. The Molten Offensive? I got my Hippogriff there as well. Hell, years of deifying and making the Scarab Lord grind into a legend in my mind, I went and did it. So if you ask me how I felt about the 20th anniversary, I felt that despite parts of it being boring, and maybe there were some things that should have been better developed, it helped me reach goals that I never imagined reaching. It wasn't time for me to hate myself for playing a game, but instead, it was time for me to fall back in love with the game that defined my childhood. Everyone has a different story with this game, whether it was pushing for Gladiator in your teenage years, or going back to get that Algalon kill you never saw. Hell, I know I'm going into Mists of Pandaria Classic with the intent of getting the Korkron Werewolf, the only AOTC mount that I've ever missed. I just want to make this point. The game has done a lot for me, and it's given me years of joy and fun, and I have met so many wonderful people throughout this game, and I am thankful I've had the chance to meet them. I know my story is unique, but everyone has a story with this game, and while you may not have been able to experience my entire 20 years of playing WoW, I'd like to show you that story. I want to share the same feelings I had when I was writing the script. So if it's okay, let me show you that feeling.
Hello. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make quick gold for Warlords of Draenor.
Hey guys, it is the Dark Wolf, or Unholy Muffin here, and we're not going to be leveling 1 through 100, heirloom level, fast, 420, blazing, all that. We're going to be leveling on vanilla WoW. Yeah, this is a bank account I made. Pretty nice, I know. So we're going to name him Difference, and we're going to start to go ahead into this game.
Anyways, I was saying, before I got interrupted by fucking Magni over here, so welcome to 7.3's Whispers of a Frightened World. It's been fun. Thank you for watching. If you want to see more World of Warcraft PTR content,
pull up a stump with his dick. That's awesome.
top quality.
I'll never forget that for as long as I live, because that's strong arming right there.
Cash money. Balls. The ring dropped. I am rolling need. I am pulling out my fattest roll yet. Wow, is that quick?
Let's go.
Hell yeah, boys.
Then after that, we'll have another one.
What?
I'd like to name my characters after others, such as my oldest brother had a character named Silent, which I named my paladin Silent X.
Fucking the play of the day, dude.
Little smarter one.
Careful. Come on, James.
What?
You're better than that, bro.
There's no way. It's us. Holy mackerel, go! Yes! I guess the AoE leveling. Like, I know there's a point where AoE leveling just takes over, right? Let's fucking go! Let's go! Get this clock! Dreams! Oh, fuck it, we'll get a... You know what? If a blue mouse drops, we'll roll for it. Very close.
Kite it around. As soon as you get through, just kite it around. Link, dude.
They are making like this whole thing about, see the dragon, the real dragon, the one that breathes fire. And I'm like, oh, cool. There's a dragon here. I play World of Warcraft. I fight dragons all the time. I'm a dragon slayer. What? 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 Gee, right? But sometimes I gotta retain that energy somehow. Introducing to you, Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. That's right, boys. Sleep, summer. No. Not like this. No.
No, I'm saying so. Leave a like and subscribe if you really want to. Have more WoW videos that are helpful. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you for watching my story and the 20th anniversary spectacular that I wanted more than anything else. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you again soon.